we learn so much about different cultures based on the art that they leave behind. And so I think it's very important for the community to be involved with the artists so that the things that are left behind are the stories that are important to the community.
Art to me is one of the most powerful tools about being human, because it's one of the ways that we can pass culture on and keep culture alive, even if the individual is not there anymore.
Soy Natalia y soy un artista.
My name is Nyla and I'm an artist.
My name is Jocelyn and I'm an artist. That was Franklin Cruz and Adri Norris, and this is the Voice of Montbello podcast.
The Voice of Montbello podcast.
Welcome to the Voice of Montbello podcast.
Today, we are interviewing artists Franklin Cruz and Adri Norris.
Franklin and Adri help us write poetry and create a mural for our school.
We wrote about happiness and overcoming our fear, express our feelings, and inspire our community.
Poetry workshops with Franklin were fun and made me feel happy because I expressed my feelings using my own words.
Our poems have inspired Adri Norris to create a mural in front of our school to honor Selena.
Seeing the mirror for the first time made me feel happy and grateful. It makes you feel different because I look up at it and I think my works inspire that.
We are so grateful for the time Franklin and Adri spent with us to create so many beautiful things.
I feel powerful because we work so hard and Franklin and Adri Norris work with us.
Adri has inspired many in the Black Lives Matter movement through her art, and our Selena mural will inspire students when they come into our school.
Franklin is a poet from Montbello and is very active in the community.
Welcome Franklin Cruz and Adri Norris.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. This is great.
How long have you been creating your art and why did you start creating?
I guess I can take the first one. So I've been making art since I was about 7 years old. So I'm 40 now. If you do the math, then that is about 33 years. And I just love it. I love making beautiful things. And I love sharing the beautiful things that I make with folks like you.
I started creating my art when I was in 5th grade. So you're about 10 years old in 5th grade, if I remember correctly. And so I'm 28 now, and I've been creating art for 18 years. And I started because really a teacher came into my classroom and taught us how to write. But it was just a really good experience on what I could do with my words. And so that really just kept me asking the question, well, what else can I do? And ever since I kept asking that question, I got here.
Who inspire you to work in the community?
So the people that inspire me to work in my community are my friends, like Adri, for sure. So seeing her really understand what she wants to do and then do it makes me again ask the questions like, okay, so what do I want to do? And then we have a lot of friends in common and like friends that we share who are very much the same. So I would say my friends, but my friends are also happen to be really, really good artists in the city.
So I'm going to echo that a little bit. My friends, the people I spend time with, absolutely inspire me to do work in the community. But then it's also the community. that inspires me as well. You know, the fact that when I create something, just regular folks like yourselves get to see it and get to have thoughts and opinions about it and have conversations and all of that. Like, that's what really inspires me, is to, you know, to contribute something that's useful, that's not just pretty for pretty sake, but has a reason for being there.
When did you realize you had talent?
I have to think about that. I don't like, I think to this day, I still question if I have talent, you know, because there are days you're just kind of like, oh, this isn't the best thing I've ever created. I guess I lost my talent. And then other days you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know, and you're like, I definitely have talent. So I think, no lie, the first time I really got to feel my talent is the best way to put it. I do a lot of spoken word where I share my poetry with people. And it was the times where folks started conversations with me based on the poems that I shared. And then from there, the conversations that we kept having were just like really inspiring and really motivating to keep doing the work that I had. Because I had to think in my head, wow, had I not shared my poem, I wouldn't have had this conversation. And I think that to me is one of the best ways to see if you have talent, like what conversations are made from the things that you create. And like, that's talent, you know, because you can get people to think and talk about things that they otherwise wouldn't have thought or talked about.
I always find the question of talent really interesting. To me, I translate talent into desire. There are those of us who have a really strong desire to get good at any one thing. So, you know, if you're a soccer player, you have the desire to get really good at soccer. And it looks like talent from the outside, because nobody sees all the work you put in. But, you know, for those of us who are artists, I think we just really wanted to make beautiful things, either with words, as Franklin does, or with images like I do. And, you know, if you look at my old sketchbooks, I've got 20-year-old sketchbooks. I wouldn't necessarily look very talented based on my work 20 years ago, but the desire was so strong that it appears to be talent now.
Why do you think art is important to the community?
To me, art is everything. Art is everything that makes humans human. You know, if you look back in like ancient times, you know, the cavemen were painting pictures on the walls to talk about their lives and their experiences and the foods they ate and the animals they hunted and all of these things. You know, we learn so much about different cultures based on the art that they leave behind. And so I think it's very important for the community to be involved with the artists so that the things that are left behind are the stories that are important to the community.
Agree with that. I think one of the best quotes I've ever heard is artists are mirrors for the society we live in. And so it's really hard to make sure your next generation and the kids know what happened before. Because, you know, a lot of the times the kids don't want to hang out with the adults because the adults are like, you know, doing adult things and talking, and the kids just want to go play. But when the, you know, adults and the grandparents and the kids all sing together and all make art together, then that's one of the times where you really get to give your information and your experience and what you've learned in life to the next generation, but also learn from the previous generation. So to Adri's point, like art to me is one of the most powerful tools about being human, because it's one of the ways that we can pass culture on and keep culture alive, even if the individual is not there anymore.
How does it feel to collaborate with kids?
Yeah, I loved it. I love collaborating with kids. For one, I think kids aren't so afraid to be honest because the world hasn't, you know, made them feel bad for being honest. I think a lot of adults through time get told different things along our journey and along our lives that makes us feel like, oh, I told this person that and that wasn't the nicest response that they had. But that's the reaction. Like the honesty is the really important part. Staying honest is really important. And so kids, because they just have that immediate urge to be like, no, this is how I feel. I really get a lot and I learn a lot from kids. And it's also just fun to see someone who has never tried something really be brave and try something for the first time. And then to Audrey's point, seeing someone who then gets that desire to keep learning and keep growing is super inspiring. Because again, I think as adults, we get really comfortable in the worlds and the lives that we live, that we forget what it is to like really want something like you don't know, right? I think a lot of adults convince themselves over time that we do know. And it takes hanging out with children again to be like, oh, wow, I would have never thought about it that way. So it's like a really teaching moment as an adult to be around kids and be like, oh yeah, like there's still so much to learn about the world.
And I would say that, as a visual artist, I love the fact that kids don't have all these techniques in their heads the way I have in my head. And so I can show you something and you're going to do something with it that's completely different than anything I would have thought of. And, that frees me and opens me up to try things in a different way. Because in my mind, like Franklin said, I think I know how it's supposed to be done, but there's no supposed to, it's just the way you do it, And if somebody shows you a different way and you try it and you like it, then now you've learned something. And now you can add to what it is that you put out into the world. Whereas if you just stick with what you know, then your stuff gets boring after a while, And so working with kids keeps me from being boring.
What was your favorite part of working with kids from McGlone?
I think my favorite part was in the workshops, really seeing how dedicated the kids were to growing. You could tell from the first week that kids were enjoying the workshops and everything, but we had to do a lot more steps of me asking, well, what do you want to say? How do you want to say that? And by the fourth, fifth week, I could just tell you, we're writing about this, go. And just seeing the kids just literally without any questions after that, just go. They trusted themselves a lot more. They knew what they wanted to say a lot more. They were willing to try, even if they didn't say it exactly like they wanted to. They just tried. And to see someone grow so comfortable with themselves and really be so brave as to share their story with other folks without really having to be instructed on how anymore, because they just knew. That was probably one of my favorite things, because I just started learning so much about the participants in the workshops that I thought to myself, wow, if we did this week one, I probably wouldn't have learned this much about you because now you're willing to share this much more with me. So I guess also just the trust building too. Like we started to trust each other in the workshop, and we started to know like, okay, I can say this in the workshop and my peers and my teachers and everyone will support me. And, I don't have to be afraid.
For me, that work we do, it made me so happy because I never do poems, and I think I will love poems because I learn.
And I wish I can work again with Franklin because he was like the nicest guy to us. He was like, okay, first we're gonna do this and then this, and he was so nice to us. So I want to work back with him and how to write and how to do express our happiness and our sadness.
So I didn't get to work directly with you guys, which was a little bit of a bummer. But it was very cool for me to see the words that you came up with while you were working with Franklin and to be able to incorporate that into the final mural. So that was really awesome.
What does this mural mean to you, and why did you pick Selena?
To me, the mural was a way of bringing happiness and bringing the thoughts that you guys had into the community. It's one thing to put words. Not everybody can read. Not everybody can read in English. Not everybody can read in Spanish, but everybody knows pictures. And so, when I saw that you guys were writing about happiness and overcoming fear, I thought of Selena right away. I was, in high school when she passed away. And I remember like the movie coming out and all of my friends being like, just talking about her a lot. And like, as I grew older and started working with students, I realized that even though, this woman has been gone for like y'all's entire life, there's still something about her that it still inspires, little girls today. And so I wanted to bring that into the community and bring that into the school. So that's why I picked her. And the way that I painted her, I tried to be as expressive as I could. So like I found a picture of her where she's, you know, just big and just singing and just in the middle of her joy. And I used the way that I use color, you know, to really emphasize that. So bright colors, bold strokes, a lot of movement. And so to me, I feel really happy to know that it works, that you guys appreciate it, and that you know, it's making other people smile as well.
Yeah, I didn't get to really work on the mural, but for me, when I first saw it, for one, I was just like blown away. You know, the sheer size of it, the color of it. I like to dance too, so you can really see her moving, even though the picture's not moving. And the fact that it's in the front of the school, so as everyone drives by, doesn't matter which direction they're going, they're gonna see Selena on the front of your school. And it was just a beautiful moment of like, wow, like this mural is going to change everyone's daily lives, right? It's gonna become this pocket of just joy every single time. And as we grow older and as we start to have more kids too, that's going to be something that they're just like, oh yeah, like this has always been here. And if you think about what wasn't there before and what is there now and how that changes people's daily lives just by looking at it, I was like, wow, that's insane to think about. Like, you know, this is now our real world. Before it wasn't real and now it is real. So I think that's just like one of the most beautiful things about that mural, at least what it means to me.
When I saw the mural for the first time, I felt happy, grateful for, because I worked so hard on that to write on it. I said it with my own words, and it just makes me feel really happy that I have that mural on my school, that I've been working so hard to try to make that mural. And I was trying to come every single day to the workshop so I can play with work with Franklin and make that mural really proud so everybody could see it. And it makes me feel really happy and excited.
Yeah, same for me. I'm just so happy that we created all of this and that you guys helped us draw and paint and the mural. So yeah, I'm just so happy. If you guys could see my face, I'm so smiley.
I know, I'm like screaming over here. I have to live, y'all. I just gotta exist, and y'all are killing me.
I can't stop smiling. Look at my face. It hurts a little bit.
Do you have any final thoughts for us?
I would say if this project has, my hope is this project has taught you something. As a school, as a group of individuals, as also a learner. I remember one of the most important lessons we had to talk about in the writing workshops was the difference between technical writing and creative writing, right? How in technical writing, that's our essays, that's our, you know, reports and everything like that. And you have to really write in a way that's not expressive. It's just flat out saying facts. And we had to really talk about like, okay, so what does it mean to be creative? That means you're an artist. And to be an artist, that means you have something you want to express. So what do you want to express? And that was like a really important moment for us to talk about. And I hope that that continues along in the rest of everyone's journey as a creative person in whatever way. And that also that you can engage your community with art, you know? Like we posted the poems on the fence. We were able to get the poems on the mural. We were able to share the poems with the community in ways where it wasn't just for the students and the teachers and the people in the class anymore. And the mural is a perfect example. Like this is now bigger than the school, you know, like you don't even have to go to the school anymore to want to go see that mural, to want to take your family to see that mural, to be like, have you seen this new thing? Right? And folks will be like, wow, this is now Montbello's like a little hidden gem in Montbello. And the way that we can take control of what we want our communities to look like and say, oh no, like I want this to be a place where folks are like, yeah, that's beautiful. Because I think a lot of the times folks don't know how beautiful Montbello is. And so this is a way to be like, yeah, we made that. We wrote poems. The poems inspired this mural. And now look, we did this.
And what I hope you take away from it is very similar to what Franklin said, is that you can control your environment in some ways. You can bring beauty to it. I haven't always been a mural painter. I just started that kind of this year, so I've got like about 1 year's worth of painting murals. But I learned because I really, really wanted to do it, and I really wanted to share with my community. And so if there's anything that you guys want to do that you really want to learn, so that you can either share with your community or just make your own self happy, then I encourage you to go out and, practice, find a teacher, get the skills. If you can't find a teacher or find it on YouTube or whatever, get a book, like go old school with it. I learned so much from books. But whatever you can do that, is inspiring to you, allows you to express yourself, go do that, like you have it in you. Like you don't have to be a special person. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be anything. You can just go out and try.
And I feel like you guys are like the nicest people I've ever met, because like you guys made that mirror for us. Like we love it. We like it. Like it's so beautiful. And I want to just tell you guys that I wish we did another podcast, because when Mr. Clifton told us that we were going to do a podcast with you guys, I was so excited. I was literally about to cry, because I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting them again. Like I love them, especially Franklin, because he works so hard to work with kids and try to motivate them, like to not be like, just not be mad or sad. Like he's trying to make them excited and happy.
Franklin's feeling all the feelings right now.
Franklin's so happy.
You guys actually deserve it.
Yeah, you guys really do. I was so excited when he told us that we were doing a podcast with them, like you guys, because I was like so happy I couldn't stop talking about it. And it was so cool combining with you guys to do a podcast.
Thank you, Adri and Franklin, for joining us and working together to create this project.
Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of Voice of Montbello podcast.